Hey everyone, welcome, 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 and welcome Tiffany. Welcome to our show
Hi.
and welcome to the chat. I'm sure that everybody here in the chat will love to say hi to you.
Oh, I'm so excited to meet everybody. So
And
funny. So, actually, it was one of the people from your chat that
mhm,
talked to me and was like, Tiffany, you've got to be on Yarn Geek's live, one of her lives. You've got to be it. And I was like, that sounds like so much fun. So that's why I'm here.
yeah, that was Lisa. It was so funny. I love the email you sent me that said, "Well, my friend Lisa, your friend Lisa is my friend Lisa."
Yeah. Yeah, because you emailed me to just ask me if I'd be interested in love. You're like,
Yeah,
my friend Lisa was wondering, or let me know that you might be interested. And I was like, that's so funny because your friend Lisa is my friend Lisa, and that'd be great.
yeah. Yeah, that was super. I was super excited, but here you are.
Yes.
And let me introduce you as much as I can to everybody who might not know you.
All right.
So
There'll be a lot
Tiffany,
of people, believe it or not. There's a lot of people who have no idea who I am. So
that's
I'm.
just crazy.
I mean, yeah, no, it's true though. So I'm more than happy to just kind of like introduce myself, or you
Okay.
introduce. Go
Well,
for it.
you can do a much better job at introducing you than I can do at introducing you
Oh boy.
because
Okay.
you've known you so much longer.
That's true. I mean, that's valid, very valid. Gosh, well, why don't you ask me a question? Because I mean, I could literally start. So, I was born and blah blah blah, or I could, like my crochet
Like,
journey or my YouTube journey. There's a lot of different
okay,
things we
okay.
could do.
I'll start out. Let's start off with your great grandparents and I'm just kidding.
I love it.
Let
I love it.
So I guess let's see. The number one thing whenever I first saw you come on that was staring at me was your YouTube plaque or your silver YouTube. And I was wondering when and how what made you decide to start a crochet YouTube channel? I do know I read your about me uh
Oh,
your on your YouTube and you started crocheting when you were like 5 years old.
yeah, I was like 4 or 5. Yeah, I actually
Wow.
confirmed with my mother because I was like, really? She's like, oh yeah, and I'm like, okay. Sounds good. No, so yeah, part of the bio says it a little bit, but um, when I was little, I was just a rambunctious child. And my grandmother would watch us sometimes, and the way she would get me to just sit down and like not move was
Hmm.
she would give me a ball of yarn and a crochet hook. She'd be like, here. and, and she only taught me a chain. She really only taught me a chain. She may have taught me or attempted to teach me like a single crochet stitch row one because I may have
Hmm.
asked because she made Barbie clothes and she made blankets and stuff, which I thought were super cool.
Oh, sure.
And that was how she got me to just kind of settle down and be quiet. And so my grandmother taught me, which
Hmm.
is a cool thing. But then everything else I taught myself. And I taught myself before I never used YouTube. Um, I just kind of like looked at books, kind
Hmm.
of tried to play with it, figure it out, and it just eventually came. And then just I don't know, something clicked, and I had a lot of fun with it.
And here you are.
Here I am.
So,
Okay.
so that my grandma taught me, and I'm sure a lot of people in here, their grandmas taught them how to crochet too. But I love it that we all kind of got with it and then took off with it and learned all the stitches ourselves. And it is so much easier now, I think, in today's YouTube world
Right.
to learn how to crochet than it was, back in the day. Like how did you learn? Like,
So I want I want to say that I got one of those books from Walmart that's like I can crochet or like one of those, but I don't remember if it was that or if it was just me. I just did a lot of blankets with the basic stitches. And then eventually I just tried to play and looked at some of those little thin booklets because I wasn't investing in books. No, I wasn't going to do that. I was just going to, those little booklets, and then figure that out. And I just did blankets for the longest time. And then it wasn't until I was older when my sister-in-law had a baby and I was like, I want to make stuffed animals. And then I started making stuffed animals. And of course, as soon as somebody says, you could sell that, like all of a sudden, what? Like your brain goes in a whole other direction. And so then I started making things and I put them in boutiques. I was at this one boutique, and if I volunteered at the boutique, they would take less of a cut. So I volunteered as much as I could, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And so that was the bug that bit me for selling things. And then I tried selling on Etsy, and that didn't work really well for me. But I got into being a vendor and being part of festivals and events and fairs and farmers markets. And I did that for a while, and I had so much fun. And you really get so much validation and love when somebody picks up something that you made and they're like, oh, I have to buy this. And I'm like, fulfilled. Like your cup just like overflows. You're just like, oh, and that meant a lot to me. So I love doing that. And then I stopped doing that right before COVID. And then this was the first year I dove back in, and I wasn't ready when I dove back in because I get so busy with YouTube. My table wasn't where I wanted it to be, So I'm hoping next year will be a little different. But that's kind of my journey. I was a closet crocheter in high school.
Because at that time, crocheting wasn't cool. It was not cool at all.
You don't talk about it. No, you don't talk about it. In fact, I actually made my husband, I was a junior, he was a senior when we got together. So we're high school sweethearts.
That's so sweet.
I made him a blanket for his senior graduation. Oh my gosh. His little brother made fun of me so hard because he's like, you made a blanket? We still have it. It's like ripped to shreds because it's so old, but we still have it. It's so funny.
That is like possibly the sweetest crochet thing I've ever heard.
Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Yeah, but then my YouTube journey, I'm sorry if I'm taking over. Please interrupt me if ever. I just kind of want to give you context, I guess.
This is all about you tonight. So you talk as much as you want.
Oh, you're so sweet. I was told to get on YouTube and start a channel like 2 years before I actually did. And it's because I was not going to make videos. I was like, nope, I'm not interested at all in getting in front of a camera. I don't want to look silly. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't see how somebody I didn't know what value I could bring to YouTube, Right. And it really wasn't until I think it was, so my aunt told me to get on here. And then I think it was either my husband or my aunt who introduced me or showed me, the fact that I can't remember her name is embarrassing.
You'll remember it about
Melanie
morning.
I know, right? No. Yeah, her name's like Melanie. She just passed away.
Oh yeah. I know who you're talking about.
I feel bad that Ham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I feel awful that I can't remember her name right now, like, because she was just so wonderful. And I watched her videos and I just fell in love with her. And I was like, I could do that. She has inspired me to at least put my toe in the water, So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna I have this repertoire of things that I make because I was selling things at, these events. And I was like, I have these things that I sell. I can show people how I sell things. I can show them how I make things. And I was like, I have some things that I can share. So I started there. But what surprised me so much is how the channel flowed into something else.
It
You
takes
know,
it takes on a life of its own.
it does. You find it's almost like you listen to the people and you find
Mhm.
a need and you try to fill the need. And
Exactly.
it's beautiful when you talk to people and hear them and like just what they ask, and some things they ask and you're like, that's out of left field. Like,
Yeah.
okay. But then there's some things where you start hearing it over and over and you're like, okay, so we're gonna start going in that direction. Okay. I get it. And
Mhm.
it's funny how my channel evolved in things that I wanted to show people. And then
Mhm.
it turned into, a lot of people want to know how to do this. Let's help them to do that. To now my channel is evolving even more. And I need to write it out because my brain works faster than I can.
I know exactly what you're saying. Exactly.
And I overwhelm myself all the time because there's so much I want to do. And
Mhm.
I just need to like slow down. I'm like got my pedal to the metal and I'm like, let's go, and I'm like, but I can't keep up. Like,
Oh, I know. Have you now, I wanna know, do you write out a set schedule? Or I could tell you stories about set schedules and me, and they are not good. Or do you, like, just make a routine? How do you schedule and organize your, um, like, your YouTube channel and, just not in details, just the whole picture?
great question, and actually one that has recently changed. So
Mhm,
uh when I first started on YouTube, one of the first things I did wasn't look at other crochet channels. I learned
mhm,
how to have a YouTube channel. So
right.
I was watching all these videos on how to make the best videos because I
Mhm,
was like, I'm great at crocheting, but I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to lighting and audio and editing and all these other things. Like, I am
r
fresh and new, and wow, there's a lot to know. And so all
right.
that just comes and evolves. And yeah, your first few videos are rough. And I
Mhm,
appreciated a lot of people, especially those videos from YouTube content creators that were like, just dive in. They're going to be bad, but you've got to just
right,
start and you'll grow and you'll get better.
right,
And you do. And it really, it's just
yeah.
kind of getting past that, almost like your fears, and getting on here.
Yeah, yeah, just getting
And
that. I listen to Sean Cannell and
yes,
Think Media.
yes.
I love their whole philosophy, their whole take on life, and I have learned so much
Yes, I d
from
I did too. I follow Think Media, and I follow a couple others. Think Media is the biggest one and most consistent. I actually just went
Mhm.
to their conference last year, and
Wow.
that was pretty special. You go to these conferences. I've been to 2 conferences. I went to Vid
Mhm,
Summit in LA 2 years ago,
mhm,
and I went to the, Think Media one in Las
mhm.
Vegas last year. And every time you go, you just leave just pumped. You're like, let's do this thing. Whoa. Like, I'm gonna go make 20 videos, like
Yeah, yeah, and they're all gonna be epic.
they're all gonna be epic. Yes. Right.
So so do you learn a lot when you go to the summits, or is it,
So
like,
it's
more?
well, at this point, it's a bit of both. The longer you are actually actively doing the YouTube thing,
Mhm,
some of it is rollover. You're like, okay, I've heard that before.
sure.
I've already figured that out. But then there's new stuff, and YouTube is constantly evolving and changing. Like,
Right.
we have shorts, and now they're
Oh,
hard pushing those shorts, man. Like, you better be in shorts, otherwise your channel is going to be obsolete here soon. And I'm like,
mhm.
now I have to figure out something else. Like,
Right, right.
right?
But,
I'm awful at it, but I'm like, okay, we'll figure this out.
we're learning. Yeah, at least we got kind of a push into that from Reels,
Yes.
because when Reels came on Instagram, it was like, "Oh, well, Instagram isn't pictures anymore."
Right? Now they
So
want videos. Now people just scroll right past a picture, and unless it's a video,
yeah,
they're not gonna pay attention to it. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay. But I'm not gonna sing, dance, or lip sync to anything either. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna have some kind of I'm either gonna provide valuable content, I'm
right.
gonna advertise a project that I have coming
Mhm,
out, or I'm just not gonna post anything, so
mhm.
Unless it has some kind of value, I'm not just going to make something and waste my time, because my time
Right.
is too precious. It's too valuable.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Now, Julie asked, what advice would you give to a slow growing content creator?
a great question. There's a lot. There's a lot of
So
advice I
much.
would give to a slow growing content creator. Um, oh, first one would just be, it's okay. It's not you.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
know that it has first thing, it's not necessarily that you have bad content. Honestly, YouTube, the platform is flooded with crochet content creators or just content
Hmm.
creators. There are
Hmm.
over, I think there was like over 400. I'm positive there's over 400. There's probably close to 1,000 different crochet YouTube channels.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, at least. And that's just if you find them all, and if something
Hmm.
pops up on your radar and stuff. So the thing is really just kind of making a video that can pop you up on somebody's radar.
Hmm.
And the way you do that is there's some tricks. And some tricks would be if you go to the YouTube search bar and you just type in crochet.
Hmm.
That's it, just crochet. Below the search bar, suggested things will pop up. And those suggested things that pop up are things that are the most searched for items. And they're like, are you wanting to know this? Because a lot of other people are wanting to know this.
Hmm.
And so you're like, oh, people are wanting to know how to do this. This is take those as a suggestion and make videos on those,
Hmm.
because that's what people are searching.
Right. That's what I've heard too.
And if you can do that, at least do one, then you're making a content that people are searching for, and your video is likely to pop up on more people's platforms.
Right.
So that would help. That would be a big help, is just make content to what people are looking for. And I learned that was something, it took me a year
Hmm.
because for a whole year I was making things that I wanted to make. I was making things that I knew, past things that I've done before, a
Hmm.
lot of patterns I had already created, they were all good to go, and then I learned, oh, people are really wanting to know this other stuff. And that's when my channel evolved to, okay, I'm going to start focusing on what other people are, the most majority people are gravitating towards, to try to get or help more people
Sure.
get seen by more people. And even still, every single month, there are people that are like, I never even knew your channel existed. And I know
Hmm.
I'm not that old. I've been on YouTube for 3 years. I started in
Hmm.
January of 2020. So
Wow.
I know I have time. I know I have my dues that I need to pay, because some of these
Hmm.
other channels that have huge followings, bigger than mine, they've been on YouTube for 10 years.
I know it's crazy. Like
So
I
I'm like,
didn't even
how can
know.
I compare myself to someone who's done their dues? They have been here for a while, and
Right.
it gets exhausting. There are times when one of the big things that I learned as a new content creator was
Hmm.
consistency, setting up your schedule.
Hmm.
So I'm going to answer your question here in a second. I promise I will. But that schedule of making a day that someone can rely on your video. Oh, they're going to release today, because they release this day every week.
Hmm.
You become like a TV show. And I even told
Right.
people, I'm like, I'm a TV show. People expect to watch their new episode this week, and if they don't, they're grumpy pants.
That's the perfect way to say it.
So
Without a doubt. I love it.
they get consistent with you, and they know, oh, it's Friday, my favorite show's on today, and so if you can have a consistent schedule where you upload your
Hmm.
video, then every week you'll have the following follow you, because they know when to expect you.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're randomly posting, then they're confused. And I've actually, when I did that once, I lost a lot of people because they were just so confused about my uploading schedule that, I don't know, it was negative, not positive. So
Right. Right.
I have managed to find it. It's interesting, Ginger. I try to release a video every Friday, and sometimes, depending on the complexity of the video and the editing of the video, and if it took me too long to record it and I got the videos to my editor late,
Hmm.
then it might release Saturday and potentially Sunday. But I try to get it like right in that realm. I try to hit Friday. every week.
Sure.
And if it can't hit Friday, then I try to let people know, hey, it's late, or they know to expect when coming. It's coming. I'm not just disappearing off the face of the earth.
Right.
Recently, as in like 6 months ago, I started adding a Tuesday video as well, because I noticed, and this is where things get crazy, Ginger, and this is the content creator in YouTube. I feel like I'm talking more about YouTube content than I am just like crochet.
Well,
But
amazingly enough, I will tell you there are a lot of content creators here in the chat. We've got a lot of crochet
good.
channels.
I hope I'm
So
helping you. Like,
this is definitely helping.
okay, I hope so, because I've learned a lot. I could
Yeah.
honestly just spend the longest time talking to you about what I've learned and what I'm
Mhm.
still figuring out. People want content. People really crave content. They want more from you. And especially if they like you and they like your channel, they want to follow you as much as they can. And I get it. Like when you really like somebody, you want their energy. You know, you want to
Sure.
mention them. You want to just kind of be their friend. You know, you really want to be in their space. And so that's when they follow you on Instagram and Facebook and all the other places, because they want more content from you. And I noticed on YouTube, when I added the Tuesday video on top of the Friday video, it
Mhm.
almost increased my video views on Friday because people were staying in my area.
That makes sense.
So having that Tuesday video, that bump right there, increased
Mhm.
my views. So that's a big reason why I did it, is because I wanted to just get seen. I'm still struggling to get seen and found. I'm still struggling to get found. But that helps. And then it also helps with the little things like a crochet stitch, you know, teaching fun crochet stitches
Mhm.
that people can do, or a technique, or just something helpful. I'll throw that in my Tuesday, and then I'll make a project on Friday.
Mhm.
And even then, have you heard this, Ginger? Have you heard people talking about being overwhelmed with a project list that they've created? Because there's so many projects on YouTube to create. Like people are constantly pumping projects. Like, look at this. Now look at this. Now look at this. And it's like, how can I possibly keep up with all this? You know? And I mean,
Yeah.
when you're somebody watching YouTube and you follow 10 people and they each provide a new project that week,
Mhm.
and you want to make all of them, it's like you get almost overloaded, overstimulated, and then you're almost like, I can't watch anymore because, because I am overstimulated and I'm overwhelmed,
Mhm.
And I've heard that from actually a few of my followers. And I'm like, you know what? I think I actually want to start making crochet related content. That's
Mhm.
my niche, but I want to make videos that are more enjoyable to watch, such as, here are some projects that I think are awesome, or here are some projects that you could make for this time of year. Or
Mhm.
even, so I'm not teaching something, I'm more sharing,
Right.
or this is a cool yarn, or this, we're going shopping today, let's go to the
Oh,
store. So like, it's not a project that's going to overwhelm them, but it's still spending time with everybody,
mhm.
so making
Yeah.
sure there is still content.
Yeah, and I think that's super important, especially with all of our Yarnie friends that watch crochet videos and everything. I have found that everybody who watches my channel is so very likes very much a consistency, like you were saying, in the schedule, and looks forward to seeing. I watch some of my kids YouTube, what they're watching, and it's like, you know
Right.
they don't particularly care when the videos come out, or it's one of those things. But I think especially for the little bit older generations than the teenagers and everything, that it helps so much more to have that. We come from a time when you're used to a TV schedule, and something like,
TGIF, man.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I feel like TV is getting away from that. And
Yeah.
I've been working hard to kind of provide something like that. Where I mess up on is keeping up with my actual projects, because I don't know if you have this problem, but I start way too many things than I can possibly finish.
Well, it's not, I mean, sometimes we have to, Ginger, because
Yeah.
if we're planning on making a blanket tutorial, I need to plan that blanket tutorial a month in advance to work on a demo to show people what it's going to look like, you know? So I'm working on the blanket. Then I'm also working on, is there another tutorial that's going to take a little more time to make? Then I'm working on that project. And then I'm working on this Friday's tutorial that I have to release this Friday. And then it's like, if I want to make something personal for myself, you know,
What's that?
this time is the hardest because I'm also trying to figure out how I'm making Christmas presents.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and then you try to figure out ways to combine making Christmas presents with the content that you're making.
So you can double up.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
And then you can put a little note in the gift and say, you know, if you'd like to see how I made this gift, I just thought of this. Then watch this YouTube.
That'd be really cute. I like that idea.
Yeah.
For real. No,
Yeah.
so you asked before if I create a schedule for my content. And before I did, and I would have a big old calendar. So I have like a giant calendar there.
I love it.
I have a whiteboard where I just kind of toss ideas. Someone told me once that I need to put my ideas just down. So I'm constantly looking at them. I'm one of those people, if I don't see it, it disappears. It's gone, you know? And that's why I end up having a lot of messes around, because they're not messes, they're projects I want to finish. And if they're in my face, then I'm constantly reminded, you got to finish that. You got to finish that.
Right. And you leave it.
Years, it's gone. You know, like,
yeah, this is like, do you do this? I have a project in every different room of the house, actually a couple of projects maybe. So when I'm doing this, when I'm sitting at the table on the computer, I can pick up this project. When I'm sitting over here in this corner, I can set up this project.
No. I wish I did. I actually end up I have this bag. Actually, I have it right here. And I talked about it on my channel a little bit. So I have this awesome bag here. And I just bring that with me from room to room. I think my husband would kill me if I had a project in every room.
Oh my gosh.
He's already told me that I have a studio. He's like, you have a studio, you have a space. Take it there, please. You know, he's like, leave my house alone, like leave the house clean and clutter free. And it's funny because I kicked myself in the butt the other day. We went to a doctor's appointment and I didn't have a project. I was literally just dying inside. Because I was like, why do I not have my bag, like a bag permanently in my car, you know, full of like yarn it's nothing special. It's not something that's got a high priority to make, you know, it's just like there for me to fiddle with because I cannot sit still. I have to constantly be doing something. I didn't have anything and I was going nuts.
That's the worst thing ever.
Like, bad to me. Why do you not have something in your car? Like, what are you doing? And so I still have to, I actually might do a vlog video of that, of like, okay, I need to fill a bag for my car. What am I putting in this bag? You know, and just kind of share me.
Well, and I have a name for it. It's called the emergency yarn car bag. And every crocheter must have one in their car.
For sure. No, for sure. And that yarn needs to have like no specific relevance. Maybe it's just something that, you know, you're just trying to use up and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But content calendar. I actually had like a year's worth of content one year. Last year, I think it was. I filled out, it was January. I filled out an entire year's worth of content. I filled up an entire calendar every week, got a project ready to go based on projects that I've had on deck for a while, things that people have requested, things that were seasonal, attached to maybe around weather being a specific temperature or holidays being a certain thing, you know. So I had a whole content calendar created. And then my business manager, she goes and she sees what people are interested in. And we will take that month and we will look at what people are actually seeking out, what people are searching and wanting to see. And
Mhm.
sometimes that whole month gets completely revamped
Wow.
because people don't care about that stuff. I would spend tons of time and energy making the project demo, recording the video, editing the video, getting it out, and it would get very minimal views because no one cared. No one wanted that project. So if I could focus on what people are searching for, what people are wanting to make, then I get more, I'm helping more people, views are up, things are better, you know? So
Sure.
I will literally go now we go month to month. We
Mhm.
meet and I'm like, okay, this month, this is what's popular. Let's plan for this. And this month, this is what's popular. Let's plan for that.
Mhm.
And sometimes even in that month, we meet up every Monday and we evaluate, okay, this is what we're planning on doing the next 2 weeks. How's it looking? Has it changed? Has it not? Are we good to go? Or are we not? So because people's interest is changing all the time, that we are literally like figuring it out as we go. It's just trying to make content for what's being searched.
Sure, sure. But first, before I ask this, Samantha has been dying to ask this question from the very first. I
Hi,
think
Samantha.
she may be your number one fan of all time.
Oh my gosh, I see Samantha in all of my things. She is such an incredible fan. She is always commenting. She's always positive, and she's always just there supporting me. And so thank you so much, Samantha, for even making it here.
Yeah, she's wonderful, but she wants to know what your favorite crochet project is.
Oh my gosh. That's a really hard question because I really love so many different projects for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
I love stuffed animals. I love amigurumi. Did you know I just learned this word last week that AMI is the new term for amigurumi? That's what like people the new slang or something. They're just saying I like ami. And it took me a second to connect that to amigurumi because a lot of people struggle with just saying amigurumi.
Uh-huh.
So apparently it's now ami. So if you want to be hip and cool and with it, just call it ami. Like, which is so much easier to say. But I love amigurumis. I love stuffed animals. They're probably my most passionate thing because of the I almost feel like when I make a stuffed animal, I am creating a personality thing. I don't want to go as far as feeling like Frankenstein. You know, it's like it's alive, you know, but
it's got feelings.
It's got feelings and personality. And then when a kid sees it, or even sometimes adults, they're like, oh, and you're like, it just does something to people. And so I love stuffed animals. And then I've really gotten into I love making wearables, but I've only really made 2. I want to make more because there's something about making something and wearing it.
Oh, I agree.
That it's almost like empowering. Like I made my clothes, you know, like ooh, this I feel like I can conquer the world right now, you know, like there's something about clothes.
Yeah, like I just made this sweater, and then when somebody out in public says, "Oh, I love your sweater," and you say, "Well, thank you very much."
Right? Yes. Yes. Yeah, so that's honestly, and then I just realized through the process of learning how to make clothes that a lot of garments are essentially blankets that are just joined together.
Right.
A lot of them, I mean, they're obviously different dimensions, but it's essentially that. So I love blankets, but sometimes blankets can take a long time.
Right.
And for some reason, I always make the largest blankets in the world. I just have a hard time with restraint. I always make large blankets, and they can get boring, redundant. I'm over it before it's over, kind of thing, and I want to move on.
Now, here's something. Have you ever tried mosaic crochet?
Not yet, but it's gorgeous, and I would love to try it. Yeah.
Oh, a couple of people you gotta try if you just want to like get on a video and watch. Try Courtney from Fiber Fox Studios.
Yes.
Or Tina from she's from Iceland. Tina, and I always forget how to say the last names. I'll email you the links to them.
Yes, please.
They are absolutely amazing. But Oh, another question I wanted to ask you before I forget it, I have like 30 in my head.
Oh,
On
yes, throw them at me.
on the I noticed that you said you have a is it a business manager
Yes.
or okay, business manager and your editor. Do
Editor.
you have how many people do you have in your team and how long did it take? Like what point did you get when you finally realized I need somebody to help me with this?
That's a great question. And actually, I would love to have more people on my team. As you grow and you realize I can't handle this, or I'm not getting
Hmm.
to this, and it's a problem that I'm not getting to this, then you're
Right.
like, I need somebody to take that over for me.
Sure.
I 2 years ago when I went to Vid Summit in LA, I was overwhelmed because I was doing everything myself. I was a one woman person
Hmm.
doing everything myself. And I wasn't growing and I was overwhelmed. Well, I can't say I wasn't growing because I've steadily grown, obviously, 3 years and I'm at
Hmm.
200,000 subscribers, you know?
That
So it's like,
that's amazing.
I mean,
That's amazing.
so, but I was overwhelmed. You know, I just couldn't meet the
Sure.
needs. I couldn't meet the needs. And so I went there looking for answers. And the big answer was you've got to seek help. And because I'm not necessarily the breadwinner of the family, everything that
Hmm.
I make off of my YouTube channel, it helps my family
Hmm.
100%, especially now that I have teenagers and they are expensive. You know, like
They're
it helps
expensive
that I can
animals.
bring in an income. Yeah, it helps I can bring in an income. So
Hmm.
they were like, since you are not necessarily needing your income for food on the table, they're like, take your income, pay somebody else to help you, and then as
Hmm.
you grow you're going to make money, and then you'll still be compensating them, but now you'll be able to make money because you're growing and doing more because now you have more time because you freed up
Right.
time. And
And
that was really hard because at the time I was not making a lot of money. And I was like, how can I possibly justify paying somebody who's
hmm
going to want this much money, you know, and I'm only
yeah.
making this much money, you know? It's like, so I'm going to make this much every month for the effort, work, everything I put into my channel because I need this person to edit my videos. You
Right.
know, I was like, so it was a big pill to swallow, but honestly, it was huge because it did free me up so much
Hmm.
that I went from one video a week to two. And that was a big reason why I was able to release more content that I do. And so that was hard, but that if you need it, if you've reached that glass ceiling where you're like,
Right.
I cannot physically do any more,
Hmm.
then you have to make a change. You need help. And so you've
Yeah.
just got to figure that out and then you can keep growing. So it was there. And like, it was there. I found a video editor there. And it's funny because at the conference, I watched one speak. It was Sean Cannell. I watched him speak. I know, right? He was
I
there.
love him.
I
Yeah.
took a picture with him. I should frame it and put it on my wall.
You
I
must do that.
yeah. uh, he he said specifically, he was like talking to me because I asked him this question. I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. I need, you know,
Hmm.
I don't know what to do. So he's like talking to me on stage, like I'm looking at him. He's like looking at me. He's like, get help. And I was like, okay. So, but he did admit on stage, he's like, the people you get for that will help you, sometimes they're not going to work out. And sometimes also you're going to need to put a lot of time and energy into this
Sure.
person to train them to do what you do. And
Hmm.
I'm like, I don't want to, I want them to just do it. You know, I want them to be perfect. You know, it's like, just here you go. You know, like, so the first people I used to edit my videos, they just were a completely different style. They weren't
Hmm.
getting what I needed out of videos. It was not a great experience. And I was like, this sucks because here I have spent over a year building up what I've built up. I have
Hmm.
people that I form my content around. I like have high expectations on myself for
Sure.
my followers. I'm like, no, if I were following me, this is what I would expect from me. And if I'm not performing what
Hmm.
I would expect, I would I would feel like other people would have the same expectations, and I'm not
Yeah,
I'm not
I
hitting
love
that bar.
that.
I'm not hitting that bar. And obviously, you know, our bars for ourselves are way higher than what other people's are, but
Right.
so I'm holding myself to a higher standard. So I ended up letting them go, and then I went back to just editing myself, which was hard, but I was like, okay, I'm doing it the way I want again.
Mhm.
And then my business manager is actually my aunt, who told me to start a YouTube
Oh,
channel.
that's
And
wow.
and she has a lot of experience. And so she is actually really good at finding what other, like, she'll do research and dive into the analytics, and she's super
Mhm.
into analytics, and she's super into the statistics and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And she's like, this is what people want to see right now, Tiffany, so let's try to figure out what you'd be interested in that's in this category. So she
Mhm.
still gives me the flexibility to be creative and have flexibility there, but she's like, you think of what it's going to be, but it needs to be something in this area. And I'm
Right. And
like, okay, all right.
I love that. It helps so much to have somebody to bounce those things off of. I mean,
Right.
and to help you kind of go, because sometimes I don't know about you, but when I go with my own thing, I'm like
Tunnel it. No. And
go way off track.
that was really hard for me, actually. I fought her for a while because I did. I was like, but I want to do what I want to do, you know? And so, like, because I love stuffed animals, I was like, I want to make stuffed animals because I love
Yeah.
stuffed animals. But she's like, Tiffany, when I look at your statistics, when I look at your views on your stuffed animals, they are
Mhm.
among the least amount of views on your channel. They're
Mhm.
like, you are passionate about it, you love it, you want to do it, but no one wants to watch it. And I'm like, exactly, right? And so she's like, if you want to grow with your channel, people want to know how to do this. So I'm like,
Right.
okay. Like, but again, she still allows me the flexibility where she's like, Tiffany, people want to make bags. Figure
Mhm.
out a bag that you want to make. So I'm like, that's broad enough for me to, okay, all right, I can do that. You know, like,
Yeah.
figure that out and have a lot of fun with that. Or she'll say, Tiffany, right now, popular colors are these. This is what everybody is super obsessed with in fashion
Mhm.
or in whatever. So she's like, try to think of a project and use these colors. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, you know, so she really helps guide me in that way,
Mhm.
editing my videos. And I'm like, girl, she now has too much on her plate.
Wow.
Like,
So,
because on top of being my business manager, she's also my website. She's in
oh,
charge of my website, and
yeah.
she's in charge of editing my videos. So she does a lot. And
That's
so
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
so honestly, the people I'm looking for right now, and it's like, so I have job openings. Believe it or not, it's like um social media manager.
That's big.
I don't have time to be on social media. I want to be there on Instagram. I want to be there
Yeah.
on Facebook because people love that. I don't have the time. And it breaks my heart because
Yeah.
people ask me questions, they share pictures with me, they tag me in things.
Yeah.
And when I get to it, I'm like, that's amazing. I love it so much. It fills my heart so much. But I feel like I'm letting them down because I cannot respond to them. In fact, I probably haven't, like, little guilty, like, confession right now. I probably haven't responded to comments on Instagram or Facebook in maybe a month.
It,
And that's just, it breaks my heart, you know? And so,
yeah. I struggle with the same problem, and I don't have near as many like followers, subscribers as you do, but um I always wonder how other content creators do that, like
mhm,
what, because you don't want to hire somebody to answer all your comments because you want them to be real and everything like that. So social media manager is like definitely one of the huge jobs of the future. I believe
right? So
it's
there's two huge jobs, and they're the two that I need. So there's social media manager, and then there's graphic designer.
hmm
So if there's anybody that's like, I want to go to college and I don't know what I want to do, be a graphic designer, because you're going to hit marketing, and
yeah.
that's basically covering any and all areas
hmm
in the world. You know, you're going to
right.
be extremely valuable to so many people. Because right now, I would love to have a graphic designer to make my patterns look pretty.
Right.
I write scratch. My pattern, I just write on paper. That's like, as I go, I write it on paper.
I've seen that.
Oh.
I love it.
And what I've had to do recently with anyone that I've had 2 people write patterns for me, and both of them didn't work out. They it overwhelmed them. The amount of patterns I would send their way to get done. One was my best friend. She helped me a lot. Hannah, some people might recognize her name. She had some graphic designer experience in college, and she did great. She made my patterns look really pretty, but then she got a full-time job, and she's like, I can't do this anymore. And I was like, I understand. And the second person I got, just, it wasn't clicking. She couldn't get it. I was like, that doesn't look professional. You know, how can I possibly ask somebody to pay for that? You know, so that was really hard. So I'm like, can I have somebody who has a graphic designer experience, but is also a crocheter and like knows what I'm talking about, patterns, and can just make it look pretty for me? Like, that would be awesome. So right now I'm doing that myself. So I'm back to doing my own pattern writing and making it look pretty.
And that's so huge. And that's, you know, I always think that when designers sell their patterns, that patterns are just way underpriced because so much work goes into them. And like, especially if you're trying to make it very visually appealing, because that's nice. You know, I don't know. I've done a lot of pattern testing for designers, and like some people just create these. They should be coffee room tables, you know. You know, like on the coffee table. They need to be there. They're beautiful.
They're beautiful. Yes. And I think we started to make patterns beautiful because we want to give them value, as if the pattern itself wasn't value enough, you know. And so we're trying to make them look really pretty. And I mentioned this in a vlog of mine. I'm like, aesthetically pleasing is the new term that I'm using all the time. It's like, is it aesthetically pleasing? Are people drawn to it? Are they like, ooh, that's pretty?
Yeah.
You know, but it's so we're trying to make things that look pretty, give them value, but then it's also the charts. A lot of people now are asking for diagrams, or they're asking for some kind of chart to go along with the pattern, because some people see charts and can read charts better than they can read actual like lines of pattern. And then there's also some people that will go as far as offering how to adjust the pattern to make multiple sizes of it, like I will try to do with my blankets. And the reason why I do that with my patterns is because I had so many people asking me, I want to make your blanket, but I want to make it in this size. And it just became easier for me to make a chart and kind of give that information. But even then, I would still have people ask me, well, I want to make your blanket, but I want to make it with this size yarn, not the size you used in the video. And I'm like, well, and they would ask you, and I get this question a lot, where they're like, I want to make this blanket. I have this yarn. How much do I need to buy? How many chains are going to be in the foundation row? And how many rows do I need to make for the size blanket? And I'm like, you want me to give you all that information? Like, oh my gosh. So I started realizing that I needed to teach people how to fish instead of feeding them the fish.
And that's what I'm kind of doing. I struggle with writing patterns. I for some reason it's very hard for me to get down. I've never done any, like, what's it called when you make the different sizes, grading, you know, getting all the different sizes. I mean, it involves math. Come on. I can't I don't want to do that. But that's what I'm kind of trying to do. During the month of November, I'm having a cardigan crochet along. And it's basically, you know, just showing how to make a cardigan without having to use a pattern. Like, you take this measurement. And, you know, if you want to make it this long, you take this measurement. So you can make it for yourself. Nothing is more frustrating to me than to follow a pattern and then it doesn't fit, you know?
100%. Oh yeah. And I actually just did a swatch series. I did a 4-video swatch series where I think it was video 2. I say, why do a swatch? And even still, I very rarely do swatches. And I personally have admitted, it's like, I should do swatches more. I am guilty of it myself. Everybody hates doing swatches. So whenever you mention you should do a swatch, everyone kind of gives you the stank eye. Like, I know.
Yeah.
But I don't want to. You know, like, but it was video 2 that I mentioned when us pattern writers create a pattern, we create the pattern based off of our stitches. So I will, the few garments that I've made, I have a sizing chart and it'll say, okay, so the bust size for the average woman, small, medium, large, extra large, blah, 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 is this many inches. And I'm like, okay, if it's that many inches, and then I do the math to figure out how many stitches, how many rows are in that many, you know, I figure that out. But that's based on my stitches.
Yeah, because everybody has their own tension.
Everyone has their own tension.
Yeah.
So in the video too, I'm like, it sucks when the pattern writer writes this pattern out for small, medium, large, extra large, and you have intentions of making a size large, and you use the same crochet hook that they say in the pattern, you use the same yarn size, or even the exact same yarn brand and everything that they have listed in the pattern, and you go about the project thinking, I'm doing everything as the pattern says, and you make the whole pattern based on all the instructions, but your size turns out different than their size. And then the person gets mad, like they wrote the pattern wrong because I followed their instructions, but I did not get those dimensions. It's like, that's not necessarily all on the pattern writers. Like they're bad. I mean, you literally could have crocheted tighter or looser, and those dimensions are all based on the crochet pattern writer's tension in their stitches. So that's why swatches can be so important. But
exactly. But still, it's like,
yeah. I mean, literally could go on and on and on talking about things. I mean, girl, I feel like I could talk to you for hours. I feel like I've barely like inched into talking at all about crochet.
I know, we have not even scratched the surface and the time's almost up. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Right? No, for real. And I honestly, there's not enough crochet YouTubers going to conventions or these like I said, I went to like the Vid Summit, and I went to the Think Media thing in LA. I told myself I wanted to go to every year. I wanted to go to Vid Summit, and every year I wanted to go to the Think Media convention in LA. So that way I could become that person that if another crochet content creator went there, they would know Tiffany's here. Where's Tiffany? You know, I wanted to kind of be that pillar for people to go to find home base, you know, like, here's my person. Now let's learn together. This year I didn't have enough money. I ran out of money. So I'm like, I can't go to Vid Summit. I don't have enough money. But I want to do that moving forward. I just want to help people. What I'm noticing is our content, the information that they are teaching, some of it connects, but a lot of it does not. And the reason why a lot of the content doesn't connect is because we're project based. Now, if our content is more so a show and tell, like the people that show and tell yarn, like here's the new yarn, here's how it feels, this is how it works up, that's awesome, you know. But if you're doing projects, which my channel is dominantly different projects, if somebody starts the video and they're like, that looks great, I'm not ready for it, they turn the video off because they're like, oh, now I'm going to just save that video for when I'm ready for it. But by them starting it and turning it off, all YouTube sees is that somebody only watched 4 or 5 minutes of my video. And they're like, oh, it's a bad video, so we're not going to push it. And I'm like, but that's not fair. Like, you know, so our content doesn't really match up with the YouTube algorithm in the sense of watch time and click rate and all those things. So I'm trying to figure that information out right now. That's something I'm currently figuring out, because a lot of other channel content it does apply with, just keep people's interest, just do the top 10 things, and then the person will watch through the 10th thing. It's like, okay, there's 10 steps in this crochet pattern. Stick with me. Like, it's like,
you're gonna want to stay to the end, because the very last step is the best one.
Yes. So I'm learning a lot on how our content is different, but the algorithm is not picking up on that, so
yeah.
So, and then I'm also appreciating hanging out with you, Ginger, and being here on Yarn Geek and a part of this, because I honestly have felt a little bit like a lone wolf. There's a community. There's an amazing community of crocheters here on YouTube. All the content creators are all amazing people. I have not met a negative Nancy yet. Everyone lifts everyone up. There's no competition. Like, seriously, start a channel. Don't ever feel like I have to compete with so-and-so, for a couple different reasons. One, there's so much different content in regards to crochet that we need everybody to cover it all. Not one person can cover everything.
Right. And the way I look at it is, okay, say you compare it to a body. Like, we are all parts of the body, and not everybody can be the ear. Not everybody can be the, you know what I mean? Everybody has their part. Everybody has their own personality, and there's an audience. There are people that need your personality. There are people that need there are people that need the personalities of everybody else, and that are making the content. And that's what I appreciated, is going into other videos, like going into your videos and seeing people I know, and I'm like, I didn't know you came to Tiffany's videos. This is awesome.
No, and I get a lot of people. So one thing I try to do with my videos, and at first it bothered me, but then I was like, you know what, this is just me. I like to start my video by explaining my inspiration and why I made the thing.
Yeah.
And some people love that because they connect to it and they're like, oh yeah, that's great. And just having a little backstory is kind of sweet sometimes.
Yeah.
But then there's other people I get consistently, they're like, she talks too much. She talks too much. And I'm like, if I talk too much, then maybe I'm not the channel for you. And that's, respectful, and like, I'm just not the right person for you, and that's totally fine. And then there's other people who have channels and you never see their face. It just goes straight to their hands. And
some people
and so there's lots of different ways of even providing the same content. So it's, and then some people like music, some people do not, and then so many different ways to do it.
I got a comment one time that says, I love your video, but the music makes me want to stab myself in my eyes. I was like, what? I don't want that.
Oh my gosh.
I thought that was great.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know, but yeah, I love it, because our community is more positive and uplifting than any other type of community that I've seen, in my socials and everything. I mean, everybody's wonderful. You guys in the chat are all amazing and wonderful.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say real quick before we run out of time completely, because I actually have a crafters gathering. I'm jumping from this straight to that. So I actually have a couple crafters gatherers here right now. So guys, if you could just get on the Google chat and let people know I'm coming. But that I kind of feel like a lone wolf sometimes. I see the community, but I feel like I'm like, here's the community and here's me. And so I want to join the community. I want to kind of meet people. I want to get part of the conversation, and I want to feel connected. I want to make those connections. And I feel like just this meeting with you, Ginger, is hopefully the start of a beautiful connection that we can hang out more often and just kind of do more of this and grow together.
I hope so too. That makes my heart feel so good. Seriously, because that's the reason I started my channel, is really community and going around a yarn, crochet, and I really love it too. I am so happy you came tonight. I'm so happy to meet you, and you're even You are much more bubbly and fun than everybody said you were.
I mean, I'm literally, I can't be a fake person. You get what you get with
Yeah.
me. I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is me, you know,
Yeah.
so
That's wonderful.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah. And we'll be, always know where I am.
Yes.
I'm here. I'll become part of your community. You can always come here. So,
And honestly, we need to schedule another one of these because I feel like there's just so much more. I think that you asked me, you actually provided me with questions. I don't think we hit on any of them. So there's more to talk about. So we'll get together again soon.
okay, that sounds wonderful. You have a wonderful night. And everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here and for coming, and everybody watching in the replay. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.